Bugatti just built a car that no independent mechanic on Earth can service, and that's not an accident. It's the entire point. While an American Volkswagen and Audi master technician sits on YouTube exposing shared parts bins and questionable dealer pricing, Bugatti's leadership quietly rolled out the most expensive, most exclusive car the brand has ever produced, and the timing tells you exactly why it exists. This is the story of the Mistral Blanc Éternel, a one-owner, one-of-one hypercar that arrived days after Porsche walked away from its stake in Bugatti entirely, and weeks after a wave of public accusations that modern Bugattis are little more than dressed-up Volkswagens underneath. No press conference came with it, no rebuttal, no statement, no interview, just a car, and the car says more than any press release could. The backstory matters here because none of this happened in a vacuum. Porsche sold off its 45% ownership stake in Bugatti, closing out a corporate relationship that stretched back to when Ferdinand Piëch first pulled the brand out of dormancy in 1998. Around the same time, a well-known independent mechanic had been posting teardown videos showing Audi A3 airbags fitted inside Bugatti interiors, a £3 fuse quietly fixing what should have been an enormous gearbox repair bill, and a recalled fuel pump control module priced at £4,500 that Bugatti insisted could only be installed at an authorised dealership. Wealthy owners started repeating the same line online. Underneath the badge, this was just a Volkswagen wearing an elephant emblem. Mat Armstrong, who now runs Bugatti as an independent company since the Porsche exit, never addressed any of it publicly. Instead, his team spent months finishing a car that sidesteps the entire argument. Power still comes from the 8-litre quad-turbocharged W16, the last road-going version of an engine that has defined the brand for more than 2 decades, producing 1,578 horsepower and 1,600 metric horsepower through a 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. 0 to 62 miles per hour takes 2.4 seconds, and top speed is electronically capped at 273 miles per hour. Once this car's production run ends, no W16-powered Bugatti road car will ever be built again, which makes the engine itself almost a footnote next to what surrounds it. That's because Bugatti didn't build this one alone. The company partnered with KPM, the Königliche Porzellanmanufaktur in Berlin, a royal porcelain workshop founded in 1763 under Frederick the Great, more than 2.5 centuries old, and nowhere near a Volkswagen parts catalogue. The paint itself, called Blanc Éternel, mimics fine porcelain, and the fine black linework running across every body panel is hand-painted by trained artisans rather than sprayed or wrapped on, stroke by individual stroke. From there, the detailing gets almost absurd. A porcelain rear badge, a porcelain fuel filler cap, a porcelain oil cap, porcelain inlays across the engine cover, and Bugatti's dancing elephant mascot recast entirely in porcelain using techniques KPM's artisans have used almost unchanged for generations. Step inside, and the theme continues without pause. White leather covers the cabin, black stitching and accents echo the exterior brushwork, and the switchgear, the gear selector, and even the speaker grills are all finished in porcelain, the same material once reserved for royal dinner sets, commissioned under Frederick the Great. A standard Mistral already starts around $5 million, but neither Bugatti nor KPM will confirm what this particular car cost its single buyer. Industry estimates put the number somewhere between $8 and $15 million, possibly higher. And given that only one will ever exist, there's no resale comparison to check that figure against. What makes this car interesting isn't the horsepower figure, since plenty of hypercars now match or beat it. What makes it interesting is what it deliberately avoids arguing about. The mechanics' videos proved that Bugatti's mechanical systems often trace back to cheaper, mass-produced Volkswagen Group components, and that argument holds up fine when you're talking about fuses and airbags and fuel pumps. It falls apart completely when you're talking about hand-painted porcelain from a 262-year-old royal manufacturer. Nobody sources a replacement dancing elephant from a parts warehouse. Nobody finds a discount supplier for centuries of Berlin porcelain craftsmanship. The value here was never mechanical to begin with. It's closer to owning a commissioned painting or a museum piece that happens to also do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. None of the earlier criticism disappears, and that's worth being honest about. The Audi airbags were real, the shared components were real, the £3 fuse that solved an expensive gearbox issue was real, and no amount of porcelain changes any of that. What changes is the conversation itself, because Bugatti built something that simply exists outside the terms of that argument. You can still open the hood and find a familiar engineering story underneath. You just can't open a parts catalogue and find a replacement for hand-applied royal porcelain artwork, and that gap is exactly where Bugatti now wants the conversation to live. The bigger question is whether this becomes Bugatti's actual direction as an independent automaker, free from Volkswagen Group oversight for the first time in over 2 decades, or whether it stays a one-time answer to a very specific set of criticisms. Either way, the message landed without a single word of public rebuttal. Some arguments get won in interviews. This one got settled in a workshop in Berlin, one porcelain panel at a time.